Hi everyone, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Mata Di. Welcome to our financial management series. Sir, welcome, sir. Sir, today's question is very important. Sir, you have been with the shipping industry for so many years. Even if you're quit sailing, still you are helping so many seafarers today. The question that arises all the time is that what has been the difference between the seafarers in the past and today? I mean, in terms of how they lived life in the past, how they invested their money, how they lived life, and how they spent their money. और आज के जो seafarers में difference क्या है?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And if I consider that I will be 60 years next year,
Yes, sir.
so I can safely say that I have been able to see last 70 years of shipping. Means people who were already masters when I was in school. Being in Dehradun has its advantages that here merchant navy was always a very sought after profession, and mostly people were on the deck side, they were on the navigation side. And I remember that I think I was in class 8th or 9th, and when we used to come from Delhi to Dehradun, somewhere near before Turner Road, on the left hand side there used to be a very palatial house which was built that time. On the left hand side was Major General Subek Singh, who was killed in Operation Blue Star, and on the left side was one captain's house. I will not name him now. And the general sort of rumor which used to go around was that it belonged to a merchant navy captain, and he earned 24,000 rupees a month.
That was a rumor going around.
That was a rumor, and this is not earlier, but this was what my school principal actually, when he came to our house and they were discussing, and I think I had just got selected in shipping, and he told that he was earning 24,000. I think it was not a rumor; it was an established fact. But anyway, money was not so important. It's not such a big criteria like how much he was earning or not. What is important to realize is on a comparative basis that how things were happening in comparison, because 24,000, if it was the actual salary of a merchant navy master, that means at that time my father was earning roughly 1,000 rupees, though he was a doctor with the government, and I'm sure he was earning on the higher side. So that was the difference between the living standards, the life standards of people. And the taxation those time was very high, but people who sailed in the foreign companies were exempted from tax like they are now. But there were not so many people who were going in foreign companies. Most of the companies were Indian. Mughal Lines, which became SCI later on, ISS, Ratnakar, Dempos, Sindhya's, India Steamship. These were companies, and even when I passed out from college, I think the salary of a master's at the starting level was something like 10,000 to 12,000 a month. But there were all deductions for PF, and the PF itself was very substantial amount, and all companies offered that. And I cannot really say that where they invested, but the share market was definitely in its nascent stage because Sensex formed in 1979. So mostly people, they either kept their money in the FDs, because that time FD interest was not taxable at that time. Or maybe it was taxable, but it was not TDS.
But on a higher rate as well.
On a higher rate. In fact, till 84, this may come as a surprise to the young people watching, that as early as 84, or rather late as 84, the highest rate of taxation in India was 97%. At the highest level, which then Finance Minister VP Singh brought it down slowly. In 1985 or 86, he brought it down to 50%, which itself was high. So now you can imagine the tax that we are paying. So, but most of the people of that era, they invested in real estate. And because now you can see that because the life standard was so different, if you go to a sweet shop, you could only find 4 or 5 sweets. If you talked about cars, there were 2 cars. If you talked about two-wheelers, there were 2 or 3 brands of two-wheelers, and waiting for a two-wheeler was about 3 to 4 years. There was a Bajaj Chetak for which there was a foreign exchange requirement, and It required a long waiting time. So these are the circumstances for the Indian people, and none of the foreign goods were available unless they were smuggled or somebody brought them for you. So even if the salary by Indian standard was low, there was not much to spend on. So whatever money our seniors, I would call them our seniors, because this captain, actually I met him after I got my call letter for DMAT and Rajendra interview. I was told to go and meet him, and he actually discouraged me. He said, "No, I don't think so. You'll get selected because of whatever reasons." He did, and I was very disappointed and very discouraged, which actually we don't do now.
Generally, all seafarers discourage अगर कोई आना चाहता है सर. आज भी है सर, ये आप नहीं करते but बहुत लोग करते हैं.
हाँ,
But deviate नहीं होते सर topic
करना
से.
नहीं चाहिए, because that we are deviating from the topic. Yes, but the main thing is that what we have to realize is that these people had a lot of disposable salary, which they could invest. And if I can give you a very rough idea, I'll give it to this way: that my father bought a plot of land when I was in 10th. Yes, I was in 10th, and he bought that plot of land for 25,000 rupees. And the cost of that land today, that plot is something like in the tune of 7 to 8 crores today. It's not a big amount, frankly. If you try to calculate the compounded growth, it doesn't come so much. But I remember it very distinctly because my father didn't have the money to pay for its registration. So I lent him money. I gave him 1,500 rupees from my savings in class 10th.
In class 10th.
So with that, he was able to buy. But this was, so largely the people used to invest in real estate, the banks. Some of them bought gold, but largely they used to buy plots and they used to sell. This continued till slowly the stock market started opening up. And generally, I mean, you can imagine when you are earning 24 times of the average salary of the country, you have sufficient money to spend everywhere.
And freedom.
And the real estate rates of that time was so low that today those people I'm talking who are at least 30 to 40 years elder to me. So that means today either they are not alive, or if they are about 80 to 90 years old. Then the land which they bought in our posh localities of Dehradun, they bought it in terms of thousands, 5,000, 6,000, and today those land is worth 15 crores, 16 crores or 20 crores in the houses that they are staying. So that was the status of theirs. So unfortunately, salaries in India, in Merchant Navy have increased, and in dollar terms also they have increased, as there are very few Indian companies now, not many of them offering provident fund or retirement benefits. So most of the people are in foreign companies, and even in the Indian companies they offer same terms and conditions as the foreign companies. But the point is that now the difference in salary between a mariner and the shore-based person is
reduced,
very reduced. So the living standards in India have gone up, and what people on shore, on sea, do not understand is that they earn for only half or 60% of the time than what the shore person earns. So actually they don't earn more than that, which is basically also the reason why we are making all these series, so that people know from the beginning their options and everything. So that is all I can tell you about those times. But yes, those people, they definitely lived life in a very good way. I have recently met two of them who are 1960 different pass outs, and they play golf whole day. They travel across the country, across the world playing golf, and they're really enjoying life. Most of them are members of the posh clubs in Dehradun, and that's what I believe they are in other cities also. Because those days Merchant Navy was considered to be that elite service. It is maybe today also, but unfortunately in monetary terms it doesn't go that well. So that is all I can tell you.
So, sir, just one thing I need to add. So we got a very good idea that in the past there was a big difference between what the salary was on shore and what was offshore, like we mariners were getting, and people used to spend that money on real estate, and not many options were available. But today, as young generation of ours, we have a lot of options to avail to spend money, and the difference has reduced. And that is why this learning on investment and how to invest is very important. Am I right, sir?
Yeah, that is precisely the reason, because we cannot really get those times back. We cannot increase the salary on board, and the salary on board has no correlation with the price of bunker or the charter rates of ships. Even if the charter rates are good, the employer is going to pay you only as much. Now, with the breaking up of USSR 30 years ago, now you have more competition for the Indians in the overseas market from China, from Ukraine and other nationalities. Of course, now Filipino offices also coming up. So we don't really hold a monopoly. So we need to also get our act together, as we have come to know that we have seen also that Indian seafarers are not really turning out to be that reliable as per the opinion of other people. So we need to change that opinion even if it is existing. But more than that is important is to live in today and plan for future in all respects, because after all our needs are same. Everybody needs a home, everybody needs to have a family, everybody needs to provide his family with all the expenses. So all those are necessary, and this can only happen if we can plan better, and we should learn to think like our shore counterparts. Today only in the newspaper I was reading an article where a young boy of 25 is earning about 1 lakh a month, and he's investing 30,000 and is giving 70,000 to his parents. Now that is correct or not, I don't know, but this is what is there in the newspaper, and he's asking opinion about investment if his selection of mutual funds is correct. Now you can see if a shore-based person at the age of 25 is doing that, I think all our calculations where we said that a person at 19 starts becoming a cadet, it is not really happening that way. The recent survey that I brought out for people, only about 270 people replied, and I found that there was no fourth engineer, there was no third officer below the age of 26, 27. So that is a very serious thing, because you are actually starting to earn at a later age. When you're closer to marriage and planning a family, that means your expenses are much higher. So you need to organize everything. Nobody is going to organize it for you. Nobody can give you that insight. Unfortunately, even the parents will fail to give that insight, because whatever we do, we are always little behind in time. I may not be able to give a good advice to my daughter, because I don't belong to that time. What I think will be a very good advice and keeping 20 years in future may actually not be good for him, for her. So for that reason, we have to be in touch with our latest things and learn from our past, not make the mistakes that our seniors made. After all, not investing, only investing into real estate is not helping many of them, frankly. It is not helping many of them. But that's a question we can take later on sometimes.
Sure, sir. With this, all I can say is, guys, let's be wise, let's be prudent, learn from the mistakes made by our seniors or even by us in the past, and let's learn from this financial series and discuss and learn as much as possible. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Mata Di.